Hey everyone, happy Saturday. I know you guys have been waiting for this tutorial for a little while. I was considering jumping on doing a Facebook Live, but I know a lot of people just aren't home on Saturday nights. I know you guys have been waiting for this wreath for a while, and I apologize. My life has just been so crazy since I started this new job. And it's really a beautiful day out today, but I needed to get this done, so I'm jumping on quick, and I'm just going to do a recorded tutorial for you all. And this is actually the Beware of Dog Kisses wreath. Isn't that the cutest sign in the world? If you guys ordered the kit, I know about 8 or 9 of you ordered the kit. I think I posted a picture of how you could move your bow, because when I ordered these, I think I ordered them from Amazon, I can't remember. The bow was like right over the lettering. It was covering the word dog, and I'm like, that's not going to work for me. So I just basically pulled the staples out of the bow and I moved it up a little bit and glued it. I just hot glued it so it was up a little bit higher so I could see the words. If it doesn't bother you the way it is, the way you got it, you know, you can totally leave it like that. That's completely up to you, but I'm OCD and I like things to be a certain way. You know, I have to be honest with you. I think part of the reason why I was hesitating and, you know, putting off making this wreath is because I did lose my doggie, my Sammy girl that I had for 15 years in January. And, you know, I'd had this wreath planned before she passed away. It's been a long time since I planned on doing this wreath because I just fell in love with the sign. So I may just have to give this to a friend because I feel like if I hang this up in my house, it's going to make me very sad. So I have a couple of friends who have dogs, so I might even give it to my sister-in-law. She's got a dog. Boy, I'm like burned. I feel like I'm really tan, almost like burned. I've been out in the sun a lot. You know, it's funny because usually I start my videos with, if you guys have been with me for a while, I'm usually sitting in front of my laptop and you can see my face and I sort of say, hey to everybody, but for some reason, the camera on my laptop hasn't been working lately, the webcam. So I just kind of have to start my classes and my videos on my table, and you guys really can't see me, but I am here. I don't know how bad I look with no makeup on, but I am here, obviously. I'm going to be getting a Mevo soon, and then I'm going to have a nice tripod, and I'm going to have it set up across my table so you can see me and everything I'm doing. But this is really a good angle because you can see, you know, I think it's more important that you see what I'm doing on the table and not me. You know, you don't really want to see me. You can see part of me. So this is actually called the Woodland Poofle. If you've heard of the Woodland Ruffle, this is by the same designer, but this is actually using 21-inch mesh instead of 10-inch mesh. The Woodland Poofle, the Woodland Ruffle is using 10-inch mesh. The Woodland Poofle uses 21-inch mesh. Now, I think I cut this whole roll because I really wasn't thinking. You're only going to need 9 pieces. Hold on, my battery's going to run out. I know why. I'll get over here. So you're only going to need 9 pieces of this 21-inch mesh. Now, you can use any color that you want. And these are cut at 35 inches. This is a really long piece of mesh. And I know what I forgot to do. I'm going to go get a couple of clothespins. You're going to need either 3 clothespins or 3 chip clips. Give me 1 minute. You'll see why in a minute you're going to need these. I just have clothespins, but you can use chip clips. It's totally fine. Let me move this stuff out of the way for a minute to give myself some room. You're going to put your pipe cleaners on your wreath form just like you would any other wreath that we've done. You've seen my videos before. I think most of you have. This is the Dollar Tree form. You can use a 15-inch form from Hobby Lobby or any craft store. Dollar Tree forms, I think, are the only ones that come specifically at 14.25 inches Just don't go any bigger than 15 inches for this wreath. I do 10 pipe cleaners on the outside. I wrap them around very tightly around the 2 bars, spaced about 4 inches apart. You don't have to get your tape measure out. You can kind of eyeball it. And I just pull them very, very tightly. If you get these fuzzy ones and you pull them really tight, you can see they're not going to move. In some of my earlier videos, you would have seen that I hot glued them to keep them from sliding, and that just made a big old mess. So as long as you pull these really, really super tight, I mean, I even bent the bar a little bit in this spot, but that's okay. You don't want your pipe cleaners to slide. So 10 on the outside, 8 on the inside, 2 bars, about 4 inches apart, 4 to 4.5 inches. So I'm going to move my wreath form out of the way for a minute too, because I need my measuring mat. What you're going to do, lay your big, huge piece of 35 inches, 21-inch mesh. Now, I know what I forgot to tell you. You're only going to need 9 pieces of mesh, but I would recommend not getting a very thin mesh. If you get a very thin mesh, I would double up your pieces. I mean, literally take 2 pieces and stack them on top of each other, and then, you know, roll them in the method that I'm going to show you. Because if you have a really thin mesh, you know, this method's not going to work. You want to use either a premium wide foil mesh, which I don't think I have any wide foil mesh right now, or this is a jute mesh. This is a poly jute. It's got burlap running through it. It's thicker. So you want to definitely have a thicker mesh. If you use a thinner mesh, I would highly recommend doubling up your pieces, which is easy to do because if it's thin, you can roll them both together. Get your little clips ready. Okay, now you might want to find something to lay the end of your piece down while you're doing this, okay? Let me move my laptop out of the way a little bit here. Okay. So start on the end, and you're going to kind of just curl it. If you've done the woodland ruffle, it's the same thing. You're going to curl the ends. You can start in the middle, actually, because we're going to get to these after. And just turn them over a couple of times. Okay? And you're going to take your clip and go right in the center, just to hold that together. You see that? If you want to make sure that you have it right in the center, you can go ahead and measure. That's about 11 inches I have, so it's more or less in the center. The exact center would be 10.5 inches, because we have a 21-inch piece of mesh. So if you want to make sure that it's totally even, I'll move it over a little tiny bit, so it's right in the center. And you're going to come down on your corners here, and you're going to roll them in on themselves a couple of turns. Wait a minute now, because this is like not even. You got to make sure your ends are even. There. Just a couple of turns. What you're basically doing by doing that is keeping your frayed or your cut ends tucked inside, hidden away, so you will have absolutely no fraying with this wreath. That's the secret. That's the reason why you're doing this. So now come to the ends. And you're going to want to measure 5 inches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? You're going to want to come into the 5-inch mark after you make your couple of turns, and that's where you're going to put your next clip. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? You just curled it in a couple of times on itself. I might even do another one. Because like I said, your goal is to hide those cut ends. So 5 inches. Okay, then you're going to come on the other side and do the same thing. Roll it in a couple of times on itself and pinch it with your paper clip, or not paper clip, your Q-tip. Okay, back up, Christina. My wrinkly shirt. This is not a good shirt to use with mesh. I've ruined this shirt already using mesh, but anyway. Clothespin or chip clip. So 5 inches from either end. You've got 1 in the center, okay? 1 5 inches from each end, okay? It's curled in a couple of times, okay? Now you can flip it around and do the same thing. Put something down there to weigh it down. You know, I need more clothespins. Okay, you're only going to need actually 2 more, and I'll tell you why. So let's do the same thing again. You're going to start in the middle, couple of turns, just to hide those cut ends. You can make sure that it's in the center after you put it on. You'll see when you do the ends that it's, you know, whether it's centered or not. So 5 inches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Flip it again. Now the reason why we're not going to put one on the other end, we want to make sure that that one in the middle is right in the middle. If you want to be OCD like me, move it over a little bit. The reason why we're not going to put one on this end is because we're going to start ruffling it now. Okay? Turn it over a couple of turns. Go in 5 inches, and you're going to start ruffling. Take this off now. We're just going to start pinching. And this is a big piece of mesh, so go slow. There's no rush here, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to pinch it right up to where this paper clip or this chip clip or clothespin is on the end, and then we're going to take it off. Okay? So we're going to clip it again once we get it all together. Yeah, I wish I had some chip clips because these clothespins aren't really fitting around all this mesh, but I'm going to make it work. Okay. So what we have right now on one end is we have a nice little ruffle. See that? Which is barely fitting inside my clothespin, but again, I'm going to make it work. So now we go, you can take these off of the middle here. Okay. Now we're going to go to the other end and take this one off, and we're going to start rolling up again. Right up to where we have it clipped. So as you can see what's happening here, you can just hold this one. You don't have to clip it. What you can see what's happening is you kind of end up with almost like a piece, it looks like a piece of those Christmas candies. You see that? Those Christmas candies that are wrapped like that? That's what it's going to end up looking like when you get done with each piece. Oh, see, this one's coming out. That's okay. Now I'm going to get my wreath form. Probably should have gotten heavier clips, but I didn't think of it. You're going to take one end of the piece that you ruffled. You're going to do face down. Like we rolled it. We actually rolled it face up. I would actually roll it face down and do the other one face down. We're going to place it face down in our wreath form, right where that first ruffle is. You can pull it as tight as you can so it doesn't come out. Give it a few twists. Okay? And then take the other end, which is starting to come out on me, but that's okay. Just kind of pinch it back together again. I would definitely recommend getting heavier chip clips because you have a lot of mesh here to clip and hold. And this is thicker mesh anyway. This is very, very thick. And you're going to take the other half of where you ruffled and put it in the next pipe cleaner. Do you see how I did that? So I laid the first piece down where the ruffle is in the one pipe cleaner and the next piece that's ruffled in the other pipe cleaner. And then you can kind of poof out your little poof here. And that's where the poofle comes in. So you kind of have a poof in the middle and 2 ruffles on either side. Just make sure that your pipe cleaners are nice and tight. Don't want this to come out. You've got a really big piece of mesh here, ladies. Do not want that to come out. I might even have a little bit more of a ruffle on this side than that side. So that's important that you measure. I'm just going to adjust it a little bit. It's important that you measure and you have 5 inches on either side. I mean, I guess it's not going to really matter in the long run when you get it all on there, but if you want them to be even. Okay. And then just poof out your poof in the middle here. And you can ruffle these up. You want these to kind of be ruffled up. Once you start putting your other pieces in, they're going to push each other up. I'm going to pause this for 1 second, ladies. I just have to check one thing. I'll be right back. Okay, guys, I'm back. I just needed to check something real quick. All right, so there's our first piece laid down in there. Now let's grab our next piece and do another one. This is really, you know, the most time-consuming part is rolling each piece. You're only going to have 9 pieces, so, you know, once you get the hang of it, it's not going to take you that long to finish your wreath. Okay, so let's do this again. Start in the center. Roll it over a couple of times. Don't worry if it's exactly in the center just yet. We can adjust it after and then put your clip on there. But it's very important that you have it 5 inches from the end. You don't want your ruffles to be too big. Just a couple of turns. 2 should be good, nice and tight. Go in 5 inches and put your other clip. Okay, now you can actually check and make sure that your center is centered. And mine is not. I'm going to move this over a little bit. Okay, flip it around. My ribbons are in the way. Let's move those out of the way. You don't need a lot of room for this. Start in the center again, a couple of turns. The thing about this jute mesh is it does fray, but we're hiding these frays by rolling them. Any method that you, any mesh that you use this method with, you're going to hide the frays because you're just rolling it under. Just like in the woodland ruffle, if you've done the woodland ruffle with the 10-inch mesh, it's the same thing. You're rolling those cut ends right under. So you're not going to have any frays at all in this wreath, except for the ones I'm pulling out now as I'm rolling it. I cut this with the rotary cutter. I usually don't use a rotary cutter only because I find that it does not help with frays. And I can't use the wood burning tool with this kind of mesh because it won't cut it because of the burlap that's in it. So I actually, just measuring to make sure this is in the middle. I actually just use the rotary cutter because I figured I was going to roll the ends over anyway, and you weren't going to be able to see the frays. Okay, let's do the same thing again. Starting, I did the clip here, 5 inches from the end. I got the one in the middle. This one I'm not going to put a clip on because I'm just going to kind of measure 5 inches in and start rolling it up, start ruffling it. Try to make sure you have control of your mesh. Don't go too fast because you want to pinch it nice and tight. You don't want that ruffle to come out. So I'm going to meet this first clip here. Go up to my first clip. I'm going to take it out. And I wish I had a bigger clip because this clothespin doesn't really want to fit around all this mesh. So just kind of jamming it down in there. Okay, now we go take our other clip off at the other end and do the same thing. Make sure you're 5 inches in and start pinching it and ruffling it. Again, make sure that when you're gathering that mesh in your hands, you're pinching it really tight. Go up to your next clip, take it out, I would just clip it again just for now, just to hold it. Take these out. And there's your second piece. Like I said, it looks like a little piece of candy. You can kind of look at it and see if maybe you've got one ruffle that's a little bit bigger on one side. Just adjust it a little bit. Or you can even adjust it when it's on your wreath. Okay? This actually looks like it's a little bit bigger on one side, but we'll fix that. Get your wreath form back over here. And we're going to go to the very next. Take this piece out here, hold it real tight in your hand. Don't lose that ruffle. Okay? We're going to go to the next pipe cleaner right next to the one that we just put in. Okay? I'm actually going to leave it the way it was. I'm not going to flip it over. I'm going to leave it the way it was instead of how I did it with the other one. Go to the next pipe cleaner here and put your ruffle in. This is a big piece of mesh, ladies, so make sure you pull this as tight as you can and give it at least 3 twists. You're going to have enough room for your ribbon. So that's what you want to do. You want to make sure that this ruffle that you put in pushes up the one before it. See how it's kind of not laying on top of it, it's pushing it up there. See that? Then there's your poof in the middle. Take this out, adjust it a little bit, make sure your ruffle is even, and lay it down into your next pipe cleaner. Nice and tight, ladies. Okay? And then you can fluff out your poof. Doesn't have to be perfect. So there we go. You have your ruffles in the middle. You have your poof here, or ruffles, 2 ruffles together, then a poof, and then another ruffle. So this is 2 pieces here, okay? And that's what we have so far. So what I'm going to do right now is just pause it, and I'm going to continue going all the way around, okay? We've got 2 here. These 2 pipe cleaners are going to have another one, that's 3. These 2 pipe cleaners are going to have another one, that's 4. These 2 pipe cleaners are going to have another one on the outside, that's 5. So you're going to have 5 pieces of mesh on the outside, okay? On the inside, because we have 8 pipe cleaners, and each piece of mesh takes 2 pipe cleaners, okay? 1 piece of mesh for these 2 pipe cleaners on the inside, 1 piece of mesh for these 2, that's 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Because we have 8 pipe cleaners on the inside, each piece of mesh takes 2 pipe cleaners. 10 pipe cleaners on the outside, each piece of mesh takes 2 pipe cleaners. 5 pieces on the outside, okay? So I'm just going to go off camera quick and finish, but I think you got it so far. There's a piece of mesh coming off here. I'm going to do one more actually and just show you, because I feel like I just want to show you one more. And then we'll finish off camera here. All right. And then I'm going to go watch Stranger Things after I'm done with this, because I like that show Stranger Things on Netflix. If you've seen it, this I have to cut a little bit because I got. So this is what happens with the rotary cutter. Even when you cut it with the rotary cutter, everybody says, "Oh, I love my rotary cutter." This is why I don't like the rotary cutter, because it still makes a mess. I have to fix it. Makes a mess. And it's sticking to my shirt. I'm not going to worry about that. My poor shirt. I got another thread coming out here. I should change my shirt before I started this tutorial. what I should have done. Pulled another thread out of my shirt. My poor shirt. Isn't this pretty though? I like the pattern on here. It's very pretty. Okay. Pull that piece out. Get my clothespins. I'm going to try not to let the mesh touch my shirt again. One more piece I'm going to show you, and then I'm going to go off camera here and finish. Start rolling it over a couple of times. 1, 2, 3, whatever you feel comfortable with. Okay. Pinch it in the middle. Just kind of guesstimate where the middle is for now. Let me move over a little bit here so you can see. Go 5 inches from the end. Five inches from the other end. You can kind of then see if it's right in the middle or not. Flip it around. Do the same thing. Couple of turns. Kind of want to start in the middle actually. I think I'm going to do like 3 turns because I don't feel like it's hiding the mesh enough with just 2 turns. I'm going to do 3. 5 inches from the end. 1, 2, 3. Still got some pieces coming off here. I love the look of this jute mesh, but it does fray. Now this one I'm not going to clip because I'm going to start rolling, but I'm still going to go in 5 inches. Do like 3 turns here, okay? And then start your rolling again. You're ruffling, I should say, not rolling. Trying to stay away from my shirt. And just meet that other pipe cleaner up here, or clip. And grab it all together. And get your clip or your clothespin. I would use a clip. These clothespins just aren't big enough to hold all this mesh. You've got 35 inches that you're trying to clip in here. Just to hold that little ruffle on the end. And go to the other side and do the same thing. Well, that piece is coming out. I knew that was going to happen. Oh no, it's coming out. It's okay. I'll just re-ruffle it. I'm just going to actually take this clip right off because I'm going to put it in my wreath form. All right, so go to the next set of pipe cleaners here with your ruffle. You're not going to lay it on top of that other ruffle. You're going to move it over with your hand and then lay it down. So they push each other up. Pull tight, ladies. Give it at least 3 twists, then you can kind of arrange your ruffle a little bit so they're pushing each other up and not laying on top of each other. You can take these out now. You can take this out now. Kind of fix it a little bit to make sure that it's even. You don't want a bigger ruffle on one side than the other. You can kind of arrange it a little bit in your hand so it's not too big, not too small. Go to your next pipe cleaner. Tight, ladies. And then you can picture ruffle in the middle. So now we have 3 pieces, okay? You can see your ruffles, you know, your poof doesn't have to be perfect either. You know, see how mine's folded over a little bit? That's totally fine. But you see how your ruffle kind of want to lay flat until you put your next piece in. Once you put your next piece in, they'll push each other up. So I'm going to pause this, lady, and finish adding my mesh. I'll be right back, and then I'll show you how to add the ribbon and the sign. I'll be right back. Okay, ladies, I'm back. And I went ahead and I added the rest of my mesh. I need a drink because these burlap fibers get into your throat here. Okay. Look how full that is. Now, it may look a little crooked in some spots, like this is kind of sticking out a little bit here. But you know what? When you add your ribbon, it'll all even out. Trust me. Trust me when I tell you this. That this piece is kind of bothering me here. It's kind of sticking out a little bit. But when you add your ribbon, it will all come together very nicely. Trust me. But you can see how crazy this is, that with just 9 pieces of mesh, how full this wreath is. This is just your base, obviously. You don't, I'm just trying to tuck this piece in here. This is just your base. You don't have any ribbon at all in here yet. This piece just kind of wants to do its own thing. It's not going to do what I want it to do here. Just trying to tuck it in. You know what's the nice thing about mesh is that it does stick to itself. So if you have some pieces that are sort of like not going the way you want them to, you could sort of like play with it a little bit and like tuck it into the piece next to it like I'm trying to do here. Just kind of tuck it in and it'll stick. But I think once I add the ribbon to that piece, it'll behave. This little section will behave here. I'm not quite sure why this one is all wonky, but that's just me. I'm a perfectionist. You don't need to be a perfectionist like me. So anyway, as I was saying, this is just 9 pieces of mesh, ladies. Here's another little curl here that's kind of wanting to do its own thing. But it's incredible how full this is with just 9 pieces of mesh. It really is incredible. You would never have thought that with just 9 pieces of mesh you could have a wreath this full. Of course, they're 35 inches, 21 inch by 35 inch pieces of mesh. So, but anyway, I'm not going to worry too much about it being perfectly round right now because once we add our ribbon, it's going to be very round. But look how full that is. So, in the essence of time here, that took me about an hour to do that. It's only because once you get into the middle here, it's just so full in the middle that you kind of have to take your time to attach your pieces. So what I'm going to do now real quick is put my sign on. I have my little cable tie holders here. This is my sign, and I'm not going to need this wire thing here, so I'm going to clip it off. The wire hanger is not needed. So that's going to be taken off, which is easier said than done, apparently. And again, if you want to, those of you that ordered the kit, this sign actually, I think, originally came from Hobby Lobby. I did not get it from Hobby Lobby. Look at my hair. I didn't get it from Hobby Lobby. I got it from an online vendor. I believe I either got it from Amazon. I think it was Amazon, actually. But after I got it, you know, I looked at the back, and it does say Hobby Lobby on there. I don't know if they had it this year, but if you go on Amazon, and just type in Beware of Dog Kisses. I'm sure you'll be able to find it. Okay. These are cable tie mounts. If you've seen these before, if you've seen my classes, these are little tiny ones I ordered online. Usually you can get the 1 inch by 1 inch. I think these are 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch. If you have a heavier sign, you might want to put 4 on. I think I'm going to put 4 on this. This one's a little bit heavy. You just basically peel off the adhesive on the back. You might want to add a little bit of super glue just to give it a little extra hold there. I'm still having issues with my super glue getting the top off of it. I bought some new super glue and the top just does not want to come off. You can see there's little holes in it. See that? So you can slide your pipe cleaner through. The best way on the face of the earth to attach signs. Press that down as hard as you can. You can get these again, ladies, online on Amazon. I think you might be able to find them in the home improvement stores, Home Depot, Lowe's. I'm not sure if Ace Hardware would have them, if you even have an Ace Hardware near you, near the cable ties. But again, I found that sometimes they still come loose. You might want to add a little bit of super glue, not hot glue, because the heat will make the hot glue fall off. And there's no pipe cleaners there. I think I'm going to actually pause this for another minute after I put the sign on and put the ribbon after, because my throat's kind of bothering me now from this burlap. I kind of did that a little bit fast. Take your pipe cleaner, just slide it right through the little hole there. See that? Don't even go all the way through. Just give it a couple of twists. I actually had a cat sign too. There was a really cute kitty sign that some people had ordered. I don't have one that I could show you because I'm not doing the kitty one. I'm doing the doggy one. This sign isn't extraordinarily heavy, but I'm just going to do 4 pipe cleaners anyway. Just because I feel like it. I'm going to put my sign right in the center because I just kind of like my signs in the center. And you got to go through your big mess of mesh here, no pun intended, to find your wreath form. Feed your pipe cleaners through first and then attach. We've got pretty tight in the center here because again, you've got big pieces of mesh here that you're attaching. These are 35 inches. So just go slow. Make sure you twist those pipe cleaners as tight as you can when you're attaching your mesh because you don't want them popping out. Flip it over. Don't twist these around too tight until you're sure your sign is positioned the way you want it to. Because then you're going to have to come around the back again and undo your pipe cleaners and readjust your sign. So just kind of loosely attach it for now. Wrap it around your wires a couple of times. I do the top ones first, and then I do the bottom. I think I might have it a little bit too far down to the bottom here. I'm going to have to move it up a little bit. This is why I said don't tie them too tightly. Unless you want your sign more toward the bottom. It's totally a matter of preference. You can put your sign off to the side. If you want to put a great big bow on top and you'd rather have your sign a little closer to the bottom, I've made wreaths that way too. I've attached my sign to the bottom. I've attached it off to the side. I'm more of a center sign girl myself. Getting kind of cold in here, ladies. I gotta turn that AC down. Let me go back to the front here and just, I think I know what happened. I had this one pipe cleaner down too far. Just gonna kind of feed it through again and make sure that it's not down so far. Because then when I went to pull it, pulled the whole sign down too far. So that's not what I want. I'm gonna move this other pipe cleaner up a little bit. I can find it. Where the heck is it? There it is. I pulled it. It was way down the bottom. That's why. Let's see what happened. That got stuck in the mesh. Let's move it up a little bit here. Up a little higher. And then our sign will be a little bit higher. You probably have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just trying to get my, I just want my sign to be centered. What the heck is this? That's all I want. So I can get to my ribbon. I'm not even going to attach the bottom ones yet. Make sure the top ones are the way I want them, and then I'll attach the bottom. I think that looks pretty centered. I probably didn't even need to put 4 pipe cleaners, but I did anyway. Well, usually I do my sign pretty spot on the first time. I don't know, I'm having issues tonight. I'm having issues. There. I got a little curly Q over here. That was my poof. You got curlies, you got ruffles, you got poofs, you got a whole bunch of things going on. It really is kind of like 3 wreath methods when you think about it, because you're curling the ends. So you've got some curls in there. You've got some ruffles because you're ruffling each end of your mesh. And then you've got some poofs because the middle is a poof. So this is kind of like, oh, here it is. This is kind of like my curl. That's my curl from the end of my mesh. So you pretty much kind of have 3 different wreath methods going on here, ladies. I gotta hold this up, make sure it's centered. So I'm actually just gonna pause this for a couple of minutes here and take a little bit of a break, because I can do that when I'm recording a tutorial. Look at that curl. That's probably gonna be covered with ribbon anyway. And then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna add my ribbon. So I need a little bit of a break. That's the nice thing about recording a tutorial. You can take a break here and then. I'll be back, ladies. Thank you so much.